on Katie. From Studio One in New York, it's Katie. Next.
You had a gun? You were about to kill yourself?
Yes.
You said, I'm going to change my life.
That was my aha moment.
Welcome back. You know, it turns out there's more than one maverick in Mark Cuban's family. His younger brother, Brian, recently came out about a decades-long struggle with bulimia and anorexia and a debilitating illness called body dysmorphic disorder. Well, now he's blazing a trail as a public face for boys who are suffering. Here's his story.
I was born in Scott Township, Pennsylvania. I have two brothers. I have a younger brother, Jeff. People know my brother, Mark. Dallas Maverick, Shark Tank. He was an entrepreneur from the time he was 10. Of my three brothers, I was definitely the shy one. I was terrified of girls. My mom and I had a very difficult relationship growing up. My mom would say, if you keep eating like that, you're gonna be a fat pig. She was fat shamed by her mom. I was about 11 or 12 and I was bullied about my weight. As the shame increased through high school and I went to Penn State, I decided I was gonna start starving myself. By the end of my freshman year, I had dropped to 180 pounds. People said, man, you look great. And that empowered me to keep going and going. I started running 10 miles a day, then running twice a day, 20 miles a day. One evening, I just binged. I went to the restroom, turned on all the faucets and stuff so no one could hear me, and stuck my hand down my throat and threw up. My family doesn't know because I look like a marathon runner. I didn't know the word bulimia. I didn't know the word anorexia. It was a behavior I engaged in, like breathing. Looking for that reflection in the mirror to achieve one thing only, acceptance.
Please welcome Brian Cuban. Hey, Brian.
Great to be here. Thank you.
Thank you for being here. I know you've written a book called Shattered Image, all about your experience, and it was, you struggled with this for almost 30 years. And what was that like? That must have been a very lonely experience for you.
It was, Katie. I was just ashamed to tell anyone. I was ashamed to tell my family. I was ashamed to tell my parents. I certainly didn't want to talk about it with my mother, who I already had a difficult relationship with over food. And so you just internalize it.
You initially were anorexic, right?
Correct.
I mean, deprived yourself food. Then you became bulimic. Were you bulimic for how many years?
My freshman year at Penn State, and it got to a point at the end of my freshman year where I was like, you know what, this isn't working. This starving myself isn't working. And I purged. And then I began engaging that behavior. It stuck with me for 27 years till I was 45 years old. I cycled through kind of a behavior wheel, all these destructive behaviors, with the sole purpose of changing that fat, bullied boy in the mirror so I would be accepted. And that included drug abuse, alcoholism, steroid addiction. And I got so hopeless that I came very near taking my own life, only to be saved at the last second, literally, by my brothers, Mark and Jeff.
You had a gun?
Yes.
You were about to kill yourself?
Yes.
And luckily a friend
alerted them that something wasn't right. And the next thing I knew, they were, my younger brother was at my door, and I had the gun right on my nightstand, just ready to go. That was my aha moment.
And how have you been able to wrestle these demons?
A lot of intensive therapy, a lot of psychiatric therapy, a lot of dealing with these thoughts, and trying to replace them with positive thoughts about my body, trying to realize that, hey, Brian, you're okay.
I know that you've gotten some incredible feedback from your book. In fact, you brought a letter that you got from one young man. Can you read us
I got an email. This just came just a few days before the show, and it's from a 23-year-old male who's in treatment for anorexia, and he emailed me this. I could relate to basically everything you have gone through, and it was so encouraging to read a memoir of another man's struggle with this stuff. Makes me feel like I am not so alone, because I've had many of the same fears and thoughts you had about being judged as a guy with an eating disorder. Thank you so much for speaking up and being an advocate. And that is what my going publicly with my pain is all about.
Well, we commend you for doing that. It's terrific. And I think you're going to help a lot of people. Brian, thank you so much. The book is called Shattered Image, and it's really interesting, and as I said, super important as well.
I appreciate you allowing me to help break the stigma and stereotypes and show other men and boys that they are not alone.
Well, thank you, Brian. And by the way, for resources on eating disorders, you can head to our website at katiekuric.com. And to tell us your story, go to our Facebook page, or you can tweet me at Katie Couric. Up next, Demi Lovato's here, stronger than ever. That's right after this.